Welcome everybody to the second of our panel talks, which will focus on resilience and recovery. My name is Jo Lancaster and I'm the Quality and Standards Manager for the National Hair and Beauty Federation and also a lecturer in aesthetic practice at the University College of Birmingham. And I'm thrilled to be joined on the stage today with the fabulous panellists, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. Start off with Kirsty.
Hi, my name is Kirsty Watson. I'm the Managing Director and Founder of Qualia Skin Specialists and Qualia Academy. We do aesthetics, specifically for skin which has conditions, and also for minority skin too. And we have an academy that delivers apprenticeships in management and marketing. I have a Masters in Business Administration, and I'm also one of the board members for the National Hair and Beauty Federation.
I'm Jane. I'm an aesthetics lecturer. I started off as a student for Jo, so I'm here to be speaking to her as a lecturer. I have supported the development of aesthetic curriculum modules such as chemical peels, laser and hair, light technologies. I've also supported the development of business modules as well. And prior to being a lecturer, I also ran my own business offering skincare treatments, but a lot of my clients were of ethnic minorities, so that's where my background for business comes.
Wow, how do I beat that one? So my name's Kim Ford, and I've been in the industry, I always say, since Pussy was a kitten. I think that's the way to put it. And I work with all the awarding bodies, Sitting Guild, SIB, Tadesco, VTCT, in manner of helping to deliver qualifications and think about what the people out there, want, the employees want. I am an international examiner, so I've examined across the world, working with businesses and working with, I suppose, academies and things in about 50 countries and 150 cities. So I've got a wide breadth of knowledge about the international world and beauty and aesthetics and things that are around that. And also I've had my own business as well, which I still got, and do aesthetics, and I still do EQAing, qualification development. So I like my fingers in everything. I like to be busy and up to date.
Brilliant. So we've got a fantastic plethora of knowledge and experience and expertise with us this afternoon. So when challenge strikes, whether it's a business setback, personal hurdles or career curveballs, resilience becomes the key to survival and success. So our panel of experienced beauty business professionals are going to share how they've navigated through disruption and adapted under pressure and come back stronger. So first of all, if I can start with you, Kim, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing beauty businesses right now, and how has it personally affected you or your business?
I think there's been a lot of challenges, especially since 2020. And a lot of people have joined the industry, but a lot of people with their businesses, they've either lost it or changed it or whatever. And I think I had to look at what I was actually doing and presenting for my business in the sense of a consultancy business that dealt with the world internationally, and change the processes that I did, helping businesses to set up, helping academies to set up, and doing delivery. What I found the changes for me was the way that the Ofqual was working or the awarding bodies were changing suddenly changed. So I had to very quickly adapt to the information that I was sending out there to people that wanted to develop qualifications or think about the awarding body's new qualifications that they put out there. So I think that is one of the challenges, the massive changes that suddenly happened across the industry from when we first began.
Thank you. Same question to you, Jane. So your biggest challenge facing beauty businesses right now?
Well, I'll speak from a perspective of when I had my beauty business. This was a few years ago. So the biggest challenge for me was, as Kim said, everything's adapting, but you have to keep up with that yourself. So in beauty, you wear so many hats. You're a qualified beauty therapist or aesthetic practitioner, but then you have to do marketing, you have to manage your website, you have to make sure you're keeping up with all the regulations and any changes there. You have to make sure you're keeping up with the new treatments. At some point within that, you have to network as well. And then within that, you have to take care of yourself. So that was the biggest challenge for me. And I think also in overcoming that challenge, it's about seeing who you can network with and connect with to take some of that load off you. So I know marketing. I'd say I'm pretty decent at it. But if there's someone out there who can do it even better than me, that's how I would overcome that challenge. Working with other people locally as well, other aesthetic practitioners, etc. If there's anything that's changed, like I feel like we'd be able to communicate this. If there was any sort of new treatment, again, we'd be communicating these things. So it's just, yeah, the challenge was, it's just me and the big industry and how to navigate around it, and then having to adapt and make sure I'm trying to hit everywhere that I need to.
Need to be.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so for you as well, Kirsty, so what would you say that was your biggest challenge facing beauty businesses right now?
So one of the things that is quite a big issue currently is the uncertainty. So we've all come from the times of uncertainty of COVID. We've now moved into this trajectory of uncertainty surrounding aesthetics. Nobody knows what's going on with aesthetics at the moment, the regulations, whether they're going to come into play. We're seeing a lot of things that are happening by way of Scotland, and it puts people on tenterhooks. And sometimes when people are on tenterhooks, it can lead to a stagnant positioning in your business. So it means that sometimes people don't want to progress out of fear of if they take the wrong route kind of thing. So the uncertainty is a real big issue, and what that can lead to is minimising what people are doing. So there isn't that growth potential there, even though there is the actual growth potential.
Yes, that's interesting. We were talking about that earlier, weren't we, in terms of the regulation, and obviously we'll see how that develops over the next few months, I think, because there is quite a bit of traction there. So moving on to being adaptable and resilience, and Kim, I think you did touch on this a little bit when you sort of started off the panel. So it's more than bouncing back, and it's about evolving. So what habits or mindset shifts have helped you stay adaptable during those tough times?
I think I should go back to a situation where I'd taken a job because I thought it was the greatest job, and I only stayed a small while, even though it was going to put me into negative money situations. But it was the right step for me, because if something's not quite good for you and you've stepped into it, you need to get out of it as quick as possible. And that sometimes, I think, is challenges for people, is that they think, oh, I've got to pay the rent, I've got to pay this, I've got to look after the kids. Think about other ways what you can support that. Think about what you can do different. Even if it makes that with your business, you can't work on it 24/7, might have to look at time, take a step back and do another job that you normally wouldn't do, whether it's working in a supermarket or something, so it can have that site stable, that you can feel safe enough to be able to take a real look at your business. And I think what a lot of people don't do is they come up with ideas, but they don't look at what is the return on investment in whatever I'm going to do. So if I buy that new equipment and it's going to cost me this and I've got to do this A and B, how is that going to bring me more money? How am I going to break even? You need to think about these fantastic ideas. Are they really going to work? Are they meeting their clients' needs? So your mindset has to always be thinking about the client, the customer. What is it that they require? And listen to your customer when they're in with you. And what is it? And is it a step that you can step into? Talk to somebody in the industry. Network. You know, approach somebody and say, can you give me some guidance? Yeah, everybody. I'm out there and I get people ringing me, WhatsApping me, and I'm like, brilliant. How can I help? And so will all of us here want to help you be the best that you can and get that career that you want.
And I think it's that pausing and reflecting is really
Yes.
key, isn't it, to take that little step back. So I come straight to you, Kirsty, with the same question: is in terms of how would you say what habits or mindset shifts have helped you adapt in tough times?
So one of the things that we have in abundance within our communities is resilience. You know, we can go through tough times, we can pick ourselves up, we can get back on with things. Having a growth mindset along with that resilience is really essential. So being able to learn and reflect, as you've alluded to, and adapt by way of the failures. So within some communities we see failure as a real issue. In the UK, failure is heavily frowned upon, and we just spoke about this a moment ago, didn't we? If you look at markets like the US, if you haven't failed in business, you will not be seen as being able to succeed. So taking those learning lessons, this has gone wrong, how do I learn from this? How do I adapt? How do I change things moving forward? And that's one of the things that's been one of the challenges. I had to pivot my business at one point. You know, I focused solely on aesthetics, then I pivoted and looked at the educational side of things. The education has always been there, but I looked more at apprenticeships, so a much more rigorous and structured approach to delivery. So it's about being able to see when something's going wrong and take that challenge and use that challenge for the best of your advantage.
Yes, and I think also being able to see what the trends are and where things are developing, just be in front of the curve all the time as well.
Can I just say, there is no such word as failure. It's your first attempt in learning. That's what it is, yeah? So your first attempt shows you, okay, that didn't work. Okay, let me do something else. And you're not going to make that same mistake again. So first attempt in learning.
I like that. That's a good takeaway. If I move on to a slightly different question with you, Jane, so innovation in uncertain times. So innovation often emerges from pressure, as we've just discussed. What's one way you, or within your business, or have you embraced change or introduced something new during that challenging period?
So, well, when I ran my business, it was around COVID. We had to change rapidly, so we was going from doing face-to-face, even the way that I delivered consultations and things, it wasn't as in-depth. I wasn't asking certain questions that I should have been asking, and that was me being reflective as well. And like in that moment, I looked back and I thought, oh, I could have got myself into a bit of trouble there because I didn't do that due diligence, but COVID, it allowed me to learn, gave me that time to research, and because I was somewhat worried about my business, that pressure pushed me to want to educate myself and expand my knowledge. It also, because during COVID as well, and even now for businesses, perhaps you feel a little bit lonely because it is just you, as I said. It also pushed me towards a community and just seeking knowledge from everyone, passing knowledge from everyone. And during COVID, I used to do like big clubhouse rooms with different beauty brands to educate people on the changes, the updates of industry, but also how you can stay afloat. So that's how I changed a low moment where I was uncertain with how my business was going to go, and I just learned from it. And when I was learning as well, I helped other people learn along the way.
Brilliant. Would you like to pick up on that, Kirsty, in terms of innovation and how you've managed to recover from that and the pressure and how that's developed?
So one of the things that I spend quite a lot of time teaching people about in the community, in our community, in other communities, is entrepreneurship. So when we have individuals that work for us that have entrepreneurial abilities, so we're running our businesses, we're doing everything, and sometimes that can be quite draining, quite exhausting. Resource-wise, it's quite heavy on us. If you can find people that have entrepreneurial skills within your business, and you can utilise them to help you with building your business, and that resilience, that innovation comes from not just one person but two people and two different types of experiences. one of the things that I found quite useful with the challenges that I had, especially when I went through that pivot cycle, was looking at who are my end users. That could be the learners, or it could be the people that I'm providing services for, and figuring out what they want. So horizon scanning is absolutely a must. You want to constantly be looking at, like you've mentioned, the trends, looking at what are the new trends, what are the things that you can get ahead of before they become a trend. So yeah.
Would you like to add anything onto that in terms of innovation? So
I think,
from pressure and how you could give an
yes,
example of that.
The innovation for me was the fact that I was an international examiner and I was constantly flying around the world, and suddenly that had to stop. And how was we going to deal with that? So the pressure of that was countries, as you were aware, were in and out of their different lockdowns, and so we had to innovate to do it online. That's the only way we could do it. Now, where that led to a situation now, we had to work in the times of their country. So if it was 9 o'clock in Japan, it was 3 o'clock in the morning for us here. But you learn to adapt and still work out with those situations. When something presents itself to you, write down on a piece of paper, okay, what is the negative about this? What is the positive about this? And take a real close look at how you're going to cover those challenges. Quite often we feel so alone. Please stop being alone. Reach out to people, as I said before, and get onto a lot of, there's Habia, there's NFE, learn from the things that they do that can help you. There's a magazine that is coming out, it actually launched today, what I'm writing for, and I'm writing about things such as how do you get your return on investment? What should you do? What should you look at? What could you consider? And those are the things that you need to learn about your business. But also remember this, right? If you get somebody, let's say I'm not brilliant at marketing. I want somebody within.
In the studio.
Sorry.
We'll be starting in 2 minutes on inspiration.
That's so loud. Sorry. I would say I'm not, but I want the person that comes into work with me in a position to be better than me, to be the best, because then I've got the best and I'm going to perform the best. Don't be frightened of anybody that comes into a position in your company or your business and you think, oh God, there's much more than me. No, learn from them, utilise them. They're going to help your business grow and flourish.
Thank you, Kim. So, Kirsty, with reinvention and client loyalty, expanding your offering can future-proof the business. Have you diversified your services or products, and how did your clients respond? So I think you have touched on a little bit in terms of the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Could you expand a bit more in terms of maybe how you got that response from your clients, customers or students, etc.?
So ironically, I started aesthetics a lot longer before the surge came about. So right now there's been a surge with regards to injectables aesthetics. I was doing mesotherapy in 2013, so I've been doing it for quite some time. So for me, for my clientele base, there wasn't that much of a change.
No.
Where by way of things like more natural ways, so looking at skin health, it's almost like having to revert people back from the inject it or straight chemical peel. It's about looking at how do we nurture our skin, how do we repair our impaired barrier functions, normalise our skin so that we prevent things like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And that's where there has had to be that little bit of a pivot again. So trying to take people from what are the social norms today in society and bring them towards actually how do we look after our skin with our home care, how do we look after our skin with our treatments. So yeah, that was the one where there was a little bit of a struggle. Yeah.
It was about teaching my clients what could they do to support all of that, because a lot of my clients come from pretty well off, and they'd bought themselves saunas and all these kind of things to help them at home, but they weren't necessarily following the good other procedures, like, remember to do your body brushing, remember that you need to use this type of body wash or this type of moisturiser, and you need to, so it was having little sessions with them, little talks I was having, little Zooms with them, and going, come on, what are you doing until we get back? How are you going to change things? And that nice communication, having these little events with them, kept them going until I was back.
Thank you. We've just got 5 minutes left, so just really for final takeaway, and I'll start off with you, Jane. So what one piece of advice would you give to a fellow professional who's feeling stuck or overwhelmed by the challenges in front of them?
Okay, so I think we've spoken quite a lot about it, so I would recommend to get a community around you, a community of aesthetic practitioners, beauty therapists. I'm so sorry, I've got a friend in the audience who I'm going to shout out a little bit. She used to work up the road from me, and when I was reviewing my business plan and I was looking at competitors, she was number one on there. She was my number one competitor, and usually that would be like a barrier in between me communicating with her, but I had no shame in asking her like for advice. I would DM her and I'd be like, what do you think of this, or how do you do this? And she shared that with me, and I connected with other local skin specialists as well, and we did exactly the same. So if you do have a lot of the similar services around you, don't be afraid to reach out, because they might feel lonely as well. So just as you feel lonely, they'll feel lonely, and you can bounce off each other, share information with each other. I also had no shame in, if I couldn't do a treatment, I would say go to this person, because I still wanted the best for my clients, and I knew that other person was the best for my clients, so I never had any shame in recommending somebody else. And they were my community. They really helped me during a tough time, which was COVID. They kept me afloat. They gave me new, fresh ideas, and they also motivated me to push hard. So even though my friend sitting in the audience, even though she was my friend, I wanted to still make sure I was competing with her at the same time. So I've seen her as motivation, and she does amazing anyway. And that motivated me to want to do better. But I would still go to her and ask her questions, and she'd reply. So I would say have a community around you to support you with your business.
Great advice, thank you, Jane. Same to you, Kirsty. Final takeaway.
So just touching on what you've just mentioned there about that sense of community, it's absolutely brilliant to look at your own community within the sector, but also diversifying as well. So I'm quite fortunate. I've done my academic studies, but I also did the Help to Grow, which is available through the NHBF, isn't it?
Right, yes.
But I did my Help to Grow, which is a 12-month course with the university at Huddersfield, and you get to meet different people from manufacturing. You get to meet different people from all different kinds of sectors, and it helps you with being able to see what kind of problems have they got, how did they resolve them problems, and see how you can adapt them. So absolutely that sense of community in the sector, but also looking at the diversification. And then I am going to make a little nod to AI. I don't know how many of you are using AI at the moment, but it is absolutely one of your best friends. And it's a way to be able to have an extra resource without actually having to have that human capital.
Thank you. And same to you, Kim. Final takeaway.
I would say a takeaway that I'd like you to go away and do is a SWOT analysis of your business. Yeah? And what a SWOT analysis does, it makes you look at everything within your business. Yes, and look at your competitors, look at what you're doing right, look at what you're doing wrong, and also what you should be doing. Really take a look at your whole business doing that. You can find that on online, anything of SWOT analysis. It will really open up your eyes to what your business is, their future, and where they are going, and if you are going in the right direction of what you do. So rethink that, have a look at your business, take a good look at it, but be positive. Remember, be positive. We've all made mistakes, we've all done and gone, oh God, what have I done? Yeah, but we brush it off or shake it off, as she says, and we get back up and we're out there, and you've got this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all my panellists. We'll give them a round of applause. And thank you very much for joining us for our panel discussion today. If you want to catch up with us, we're over.